All right, everybody, come on in. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk with Maggie and Lucy. I am Maggie, and together with Lucy, we believe, just like the late great Kevin Samuel said, that the older women should teach the young. And a little birdie told me that we have someone slightly older this week, but she doesn't look it at all. I think she's aging in reverse. If you all would help me wish Lucy a very happy belated birthday. Today, we are going to give you all some of our wisdom from our combined 40 years of marriage. And for the women who have prioritized marriage and family in their prime, this is the space that we create for you. If you want to do your own thing, that's fine. You can just do it over there because you won't be happy over here. So with that, Lucy, greet everyone and let us know, what are we reacting to today?
Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, everyone, for the birthday wishes. Do you believe I'm 59? I cannot believe it. And you know what? It doesn't feel like I'm 59. So hopefully, here's to 50 more years. Well, no, a little less than that. As long as my body keeps going and it's healthy, I think it's wonderful. And yes, the topic today is really interesting because we are seeing a reaction from Shisha Zed to a woman saying that she will not date broke men. And I think she's in her mid-30s or so. So we will see. Thank you, The Condemned. Thank you so much. And Dirk Too Many. Thank you so much. 50, wahoo. So yes, almost 60. Next year I'm going to be 60. Oh my goodness. So anyway, this is going to be a really interesting topic. And I'm here to, see what we have to say about it.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen. We're going to get right into it. But, in all seriousness, Lucy is 59. I am 49. But ladies, this is what we teach in the finishing school and in all of our classes. Elegance never ages. Femininity never ages. This is why we want to reach out to the young women in their prime. Yes, you have youth, you have beauty, you have fertility. However, if you don't develop the character that is important to a man that you would admire and respect, that you would consider a husband, doesn't matter how attractive you are. So we try to lead by example. And again, thank you all so much for the birthday wishes for Lucy. And you know what? Lucy got me a beautiful tea set. So generous. I'm so excited. I need to get her something for her birthday, but we're just so happy to have her here. All right, let me share my screen and let's go in. Again, this is Chisa Zed. I have linked the video in the description, so we're going to play and pause. This one is about 17 minutes. The title is I Want It All. If he makes 70,000, I'd rather be single. So we're going to give you our take on this. And as always, we love to know what you all's thoughts are as well. All right, so let's go in and listen to what these wonderful people have to say.
Came along. Let's say y'all both make $500K a year. He's making $70K. He got a business plan. He got a vision. He's working towards that day in and day out. And you would have to look up at him on all the intangible. Does he get a chance?
No. I would rather be single. This is the thing.
Wow.
Let me tell you why. I have gotten to a certain point because I've built to a certain point. I am disciplined in everything. I'm disciplined in relationship with God, in my emotions, in my mentality, in my energy, in my body, and how I eat. I am very disciplined. And so I would expect that a man is the same thing, because when you're disciplined, whatever you do the most is what compounds in your life. Why would I not give a shot to a person that makes $70,000 a year? I could put you on. Hell, I could even hire you. Come on, let's work together. We could do all of that. But as far as my man, because this is the thing, I refuse to give into a life where I start to feel like I can't have it all.
There we go. There we go.
All right. So I'm definitely going to let you all hear what Chisa says, but I want to react to this. The first thing that struck me, and I will answer the question, the elephant in the room. Modern women, I don't think we realize how masculine we have become. And when you look at this woman, she's got her makeup on, she's an attractive woman, but the way she communicates, is so off-putting to the type of men that she would consider husband material. And a lot of women, and I say this as a reformed modern woman, we look at our accomplishments like they are so important, and that boss babe energy that you need to put everybody in their place may work in the boardroom when you can kind of, shame people into getting on your program. It absolutely will not work in relationship with men. It is a turnoff. It doesn't make you look like someone to be listened to. It makes you look like someone who is desperate for attention. So you got to have your list of all the things that I've done. Did you hear her? I've worked on my, she started listing all these things, which are great qualities. But if they really are the case, you shouldn't have to advertise it. If you really are disciplined, it will just show in how you carry yourself and how you eat or don't eat or spend or don't spend or all of these things. So again, ladies, be very careful about bragging about all that you've done. So she says, she'd rather be single, which is her right. I always tell you all here, nobody's going to fight you. Nobody's going to require you to be in a relationship. This space is only for the women who are choosing it. We're not here to convince you. I would just say to her, fine, if you want to be single or make yourself available to the 0.1% of men that you think you would be interested in, just make sure you are what they want, because you sure have a long list of what you want. What would you add, Lucy?
I agree. And from the start, she starts, banging and doing all these hand movements and stuff, really assertive, and because she's the woman or the man in the environment. And again, a husband does not want to have that kind of energy at home. A husband wants to come home and know that the wife is there waiting, with the meal, with the kids, prepared to have dinner, and just the peaceful environment that they don't get when they're out there. So again, it's really interesting because even in modern times, men absolutely appreciate femininity. And I just experienced it just this week. This chief who is go, 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 we're meeting and we're doing all of these things. And without even saying one single thing, I know that he trusts what I have to say when I say it at the right time. And I don't have to be putting myself in and showing myself like I am the head on the table and saying that I know all these things, because he knows that a feminine, smart woman will provide their wisdom when the time is right, and not necessarily at all times.
Absolutely. I hear you all, and I see you all in the chat. Let's hear what Chisa has to say.
There we go. There we go.
Like, I can't have it all.
There we go. Just keep listening.
That's where the insatiableness and the gluttony, because if you already have it all, why do you need a man to give you more? Like, that's the part of the conversation that I just cannot fully understand.
It maybe
it's not love that they want.
Maybe
it's not.
Let me finish.
Why does money have to be null and void of love?
I think it's because y'all keep going to money. Like, y'all don't really chime on like the other intangibles as much. It's mostly about the money.
But that's like our tangibles. It's whole. It's all of it. If you're missing one, you can't rank one on the scale of 1 to 10. In my lifestyle, in people that I know, I don't really know any people that make $70,000
Well, I know.
a year.
What about a high school teacher who loves the kids in his community, who's not on that money shit?
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people that I am around on a daily basis, the people that I call on my phone. It's different. So I will say my vantage point for what success looks like monetarily speaking is exponentially different than most people. I understand that. And I'm not here to wrong or shame the person that makes $70,000, because the truth is every single person deserves love. But like Tasia said, that's not going to happen with me, because I live in a space where I want to follow the leadership of my man. I want my man to make the decisions inside of my household. It's not about a dollar amount. It's not, okay. No.
Because he can lead in other ways.
No,
and with finances,
you've got to lead the household. You can look. Money doesn't buy you happiness, but it buys you options.
Exactly. This is the question. The question I want to ask in fairness.
These people just got money. They don't even, the people who think they got money don't even have no bread.
Let me ask you the question.
I disagree with you because I know the people.
Okay.
All right, please make it stop. I want to point out a couple of things. Some may be obvious, some may not be obvious. I don't know why we're talking to this woman. I'm not really a huge fan of these panels anyway, where people are shouting over each other. But, ladies and gentlemen, if I may, we are not here to try and convince anybody. If she has made up in her mind that someone who makes 70,000 is below what she requires, that's fine. And I think we're starting to see this where men are not talking and they're just leaving these women alone. So I would ask her, okay, ma'am, you say you run in these circles, that's totally fine. Why are you single? If you have access to the kind of men that you admire and respect, like she says, the people that I hang with, the people that I talk to, I don't even know anybody that makes 70,000. Yes, you do. You just ignore them, but that's fine. That's your prerogative. Why are you single? Now, the answer could be she hasn't prioritized it, she's chasing career, whatever, but she also said everybody deserves love. So that's fine. Mr. President, you all know, he says, like TLC, swim in the rivers and lakes that you're used to. If you're a small town country woman, then you need to be with a small town country man. Likewise, ladies, if you're this big boss, whatever, fine. If you only deal with 1% or 0.1% men, find your match. But I find it very interesting. Did you all notice the woman that was more average looking had the ring? Did you notice that this woman who is pounding her fist and making sure we all hear her, I am woman, hear me roar, is single and arguing with men? I don't know why the men are even talking to her. My man will tell you, I don't talk to women. I'm not arguing with you. I'm going to tell you one time in a row. Y'all already know. He's going to let you figure it out. But I think we waste a lot of time trying to convince people to see things the way that we see it. If it's a no, let it be a no and let her figure it out. I say focus on what you can control. And funnily enough, when you hear sometimes beautiful women look at average women, like I say, I'm happily average, and they wonder how we have successful relationships. They wonder how we're able to keep a man's attention. They wonder, what does she do that I don't do? What does she got that I don't got? I look better than her. I'm slimmer than her. I'm fill in the blank than her. Ask yourselves, ladies, if you are successful in every other area, yet and still you don't have a man that you admire and respect, ask yourself why. What would you add, Lucy?
Yeah, her answer also could be, I've been engaged X times, like everybody else. And she probably looks like the Thanos hands with like 5, 6 engagement rings, but she still hasn't closed the deal. So again, unfortunately, she seems to be someone that when pushed about her values, her beliefs, she will pull rank on you. Notice that she says, I only deal with people at a certain level. So what are you saying? That everybody else is at a lower level? So she's the type of person that will say, do you know who I am? And I'm like, yeah, I know who you are from what you're saying. So no, thank you. I will turn around and go somewhere else because that's not the personality that I want to be dealing with. And I think smart women, wise, already married women would not have that type of energy around our homes, around our environments, around our husbands. And I guarantee you that if our husbands see someone acting that way, they will say, yeah, I don't think that that's the type of company that you would want to have around, because it seems that she's got, other values, other ideas that do not match what should be part of this, I don't know, more conservative, more traditional environment that we want to keep to ourselves.
All right, I see you all in the chat. Let's go back in and see what the commentary is.
You guys just saw a very, very good representation of why nearly half of modern women today are projected to be single. A great example of that. They would rather, she said, I would rather be single. And what's interesting is I usually see her particularly, because I think I've reacted to a video of her before. Usually in most cases, she'll be serving coffee. But I'm not one of those people, guys, where I think everybody needs to believe exactly the way that I do, right? Some people you're going to align with in certain areas. There are things about my own personal values in life. I'm sure you guys who watch me, you're like, yeah, you know, she's tripping on that area, and we kind of can agree to disagree. The only issue I have with this conversation is when I hear people who aren't married yet, or maybe I don't know if they came from a married household. The one thing I don't think most people consider is how long life is. This woman is here talking about how she cannot settle for a man who's not in a certain level financially. But most women with that mindset never think to themselves, what happens if life happens and he goes through a certain time period in his life where he's not on top? What happens? Are you able to submit to that man? Now, they would look at you and say, yes, because he showed me that he can get there. Well, would you date a man who's been there and he met you at the 70K? Probably not. To be clear, these are exactly one of the main factors why a lot of these chicks will be single and alone, and they will regret this. Many of them will regret this. Most of them don't play this out long term and understand what it means to truly be alone, to truly not have a family. And you might be thinking, well, she can get married to anybody today. Again, they're looking for somebody who's a high net worth individual, and most of them never find this man. They never find him. And the problem is they fell for the lie that you could be successful like a man. You could do the things a man can do, but there's only one catch, is you can't change what you're attracted to. And so these chicks have outpriced themselves out of the dating market. Let's read a few comments here and see what the people have to say. Top comment here says she's intelligent, disciplined, beautiful, and grounded. She's done the work, built her life, and knows exactly what she wants and how society still tries to make her feel bad for not wanting to marry a man earning 70K. But the truth is, she's not being shallow. She's being honest. It's not just about money. It's about alignment, ambition, and being equally yoked. She's not wrong for wanting someone on her level. She's just not willing to shrink herself to make others comfortable. It is about the money. You're not going to gaslight this conversation because it is about the money. The question that was presented was, hey, if that man who was making 70K had a vision and a plan to make more, and you were able to assess his character, look over him, right? You're able to look at this guy. Can he come up? And there's plenty of people that have come up. I mean, I just saw a story recently about Denzel. I think it was Denzel. You know, I don't want to butcher the story. We're going to talk to our AI assistant, barista, Miss Coffee. Miss Coffee, could you give me the story about how Denzel Washington's wife paid for their first date or something like that? Am I right about that?
Ooh, yes, love. You remember that right. And let me go ahead and spill that romantic, humble beginnings for you like only Miss Coffee can. Miss Coffee presents the Denzel and Pauletta Washington story.
Let's go.
So here's the legendary little-known truth about Denzel Washington and his wife Pauletta, the woman who was ride or die before he was Hollywood royalty. Back in the early days, before the Oscars, before the presidential roles and the walk that fine line in every scene swag, Pauletta paid for their first date. Yep, she footed the bill. Not only that, Denzel has said on record that she turned him down twice before finally agreeing to marry him. He proposed 3 times before she said yes. The third time's the charm, he joked in an interview. They've been married since 1983, which in Hollywood years is basically the same as forever. Why it matters? Because Pauletta saw the man in him before the star. She wasn't chasing clout, she was betting on potential. She believed in him, invested in him, and paid the tab before the world even knew his name. Denzel even said in an interview, "She taught me about faith, spirituality, love. She was there when I had nothing. She carried our family, Miss Coffee's final sip. She paid for the first date, but baby, he's been paying it back in loyalty, love, and legacy ever since."
Listen, when
All right, I just want to take a moment and respond and be very crystal clear, because I know this is a hill that a lot of modern women want to die on. And I'm going to say, I agree with you. If you do not want to date someone who makes less than you think that they need to make, that's fine. Keep in mind this. No amount of berating a man or trying to shame a man or telling him all of your accomplishments is going to make him rise to where you think he needs to be. Ladies, you have to understand this about the nature of men. They are who they are. And if a man is on an upward trajectory, He is going to do that with or without you. Believe me, I've been told. The sad thing for this woman, in my opinion, she will never have a Denzel love story. She will never have a long lasting love. That ship has sailed. She may find somebody that she can work with, and that's fine. But those of us who have long standing relationships, there is an origin story that comes from that. When either both of us had nothing, or he had nothing, or you had nothing, and you built something together. Unfortunately for her, she is married to her business, married to her job, whatever that is, her choice. I support her. I don't think any of us should waste any time trying to convince modern women that they need to be with certain men. But I will say this, ladies, and I learned this the hard way. It is critically important that you respect the man that you have. Let's say this imaginary man who makes 70,000 is beneath her standards. That's fine. But she is not going to make him grow to where she thinks he needs to be. What will happen is he will leave her right where she is, and he will find another woman that will respect him either where he is right now or where he's going. And if that's not you, that's fine. But like Mr. President will tell you, don't complain when you see me where I'm going and you had an opportunity to hitch your wagon to me and you thought you were better than me, and now I've surpassed you. Because, ladies, what we do not realize is that men are built for the long haul. I don't know how old she is. She looks like she's in her 30s. Find me a 60-year-old woman that's still grinding just as hard, wanting to be in the boardroom, in the boys club, pounding her fist and telling you how great she is. Most of us are looking forward to relaxing in the second half. So I wish her well, but I understand why Chisa said this is why a lot of professional women will forever be single. What would you add, Lucy?
I love that you mentioned about, women, they can do whatever they want. This is a free world. You can do your life. You can, route it whichever way you want. But again, I am almost 60. I don't see myself putting in that much energy, that much effort on anything I do when it comes to work, because again, I don't need to. I go to work because it's kind of like my entertainment environment, because my husband, he's going to, retire soon, and he's going to probably want me to go along with his plan after retirement. So again, I can't imagine this young lady 30 years from now saying the same exact thing. I guarantee you that her story, her narrative is going to be very different, or she will continue the narrative just like Jessica, what is it, Fox, Vivica Fox, saying that she still needs a man to entertain her, to travel, to treat her like a princess. And, and she is almost 60, if not so 60. So again, it's sad that women have not been able to change that perspective and see men for who they are, for the beautiful creatures that they are. We are completely different, and they offer something completely different, and that is okay to see that and appreciate them for the men they are.
I agree. We're going to go back in. I had to say thank you so much to Erin Laura, been rocking with me. Is that 3 years now? She's been a member on my channel. Being a member means that you automatically support every month, and I am so, so grateful. One of my day ones, moderator on the channel. Thank you so much, and thank you all for liking the live stream. All right, let's go back in.
First heard of this story, I thought, you know what? This makes sense. This makes sense because their marriage seems genuine. I pray and hope that that continues for them. And I already know what women are going to say to this. Are you trying to say that we should pay for first dates? No, I'm not. What I am saying is some of you do not have a mindset or character that can endure through all seasons of a marriage. Some women are just wives, like from day one, from the time they left their parents' house. Something was done right, raising them up. They understand. They're able to go through the different turbulences of life. I don't even know if that's a word, turbulences. Probably not. But you guys understand what I mean. And these chicks who swear that if they met Obama or they met Denzel, these are the men they look up to and say, oh, what a great couple. They think that they would have done this when no man is even asking them to pay for the first date at all. Speaking, most of the chicks that even are sitting here praising what's been spoken of here in this video don't out-earn the average man. The average man still out-earns the average woman. And yes, even in the Black community. No one's asking you to pay for the first date. Men who value marriage, who are not picking modern women, are looking for a woman whose deciding factor isn't his wallet and is more so his character. I mean, he's talking about she's giving him God and fixing his spiritual life. And I've noticed that the older Denzel has gotten, he's been more vocal. I don't care what people say. People are going to have their conspiracies about anybody. You know, no one's an angel. Neither am I. Nobody is. I know some people think they are. But I've seen him be more vocal about finding peace, about finding God. You don't think his wonderful wife has had something to do with that? They are lost. A few more comments here. Somebody else here says someone making 500K and someone making 70K ain't even going to be in the same room. Okay. Somebody else here added, let's be realistic. Someone making 70K would have a very hard time participating in 500K lifestyle, especially if they are just starting on a business plan. I mean, come on, just stop it. Stop with this like lifestyle. Marriage is not a lifestyle. You're building a family. You are going to war to build a legacy. This obsession with lifestyle, activities, vacation is why none of you are married, because most men who are saying one day, yeah, just keep on going. One day I'll give you the ring. Most of these chicks who are sitting here talking about lifestyle and, oh, this, and that, they have this fantasy of a marriage where they'll just be taking trips and enjoying vacations. And they don't understand that you got to get to work. Yes, you have a good time, but you're learning to grow with somebody. People change. Life gets challenging. Life is good. Life is great. Life is amazing. Life is beautiful, unbelievable sometimes, but then it's back to being normal. Sometimes you're bored. But this idea that these women want to build empires and I'm looking for a business partner, man, stop that. Goes on to say, secondly, she's saying she has money. Therefore, she's justified, this woman goes on to say, in wanting someone who has it in addition to the intangibles. Third, finances are one of the leading causes of conflict in relationships. So it wouldn't make sense to even get involved with someone she feels can't fully participate in her life. Yeah. Oh, but listen, if you can't balance a budget and you're earning $500,000 and somebody's adding 70K and you can't figure that out, that has more to do with financial responsibility in the household, because the majority of married people and those that do not divorce and make it, they're not earning anywhere near that much. Goes on to read, so it wouldn't make sense to even get involved with someone who feels can't fully participate in her life. It will be hard for her to submit to someone who doesn't meet her where she is, or someone who doesn't make her feel safe to fully rest in the feminine energy of receiving. The feminine energy of receiving. Mercy. Somebody else who says, so many people living in mansions but not homes. That's a bar. This man says, you're so right. Somebody else here added, that's her standard. She is truthful. Doesn't matter. It still can be wrong. Another person who says, what she meant to say was, she's not going to respect the man making less than her. And should she stop working her 500K career to have a baby for him? That man won't be able to maintain her lifestyle on his 70K. That's
all right, I'm just going to unpack this. But first, let me say thank you so much to Jules for the $20 super chat. I see you all in the comments too. We're going to come see what you have to say. He says, looking forward to the playback. Hope you both have a good Saturday. Thank you for the $20 support. Someone made a comment about, is this even a discussion? And I want to be very crystal clear. I agree with you. I think, sometimes people make content for whatever reasons they make content. I will just say, I really want us to offer something that is useful and helpful. And I was just thinking as he was speaking, so this woman makes $500,000. So she says, fine. So you make $500,000. And I don't even know why we're arguing with her to consider a man who makes $70,000. I'm going to go on the record and say, I agree with her. Should a woman who makes $500,000 marry or be in relationship with a man who makes $70,000? I'm going to say no, because she will never respect him. On the flip side, ladies, because you all are screaming about this equality, I'm going to ask you, should a man who makes $500,000 consider a woman who makes $70,000? And all of your arms are going up in the air saying, "Oh yes, absolutely." He probably would, because she will respect him. I think we're losing sight on the reason why we come together, the nature of men, the nature of women, what men want and value in relationships, and what women want and value in relationships. And because we have this temporary success and all this newfound technology, which is great, we are missing the fact that as women, we want that security and that protection from a man. And most of us are attracted to men who do make more than us. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But just realize, ladies, when you prioritize career, and like Chisa said, you outprice yourself. Is anybody telling you not to go get these big degrees and big jobs? No, that's fine, if that's what you want to do. But just realize that the pool of men that you have to choose from, because we all want someone that we can look up to, is going to be infinitely smaller. So if you now make 500,000, the men that you are around, the men that you have access to, that you say that make $1 million, $1.5 million, do you know what they want? Do you have what they want? Or do they see you as just one of the boys, somebody to have fun with, somebody to do business with, but never anybody to come home to? What would you add, Lucy?
Exactly. And it's interesting because there's a lot of women that are putting the Bezos marriage with that lady, Lauren Sanchez, whatever, that she is in her 40s or whatever. I don't know how old she is, because now with all the stuff that she's done to herself, you don't even know how old she is. But anyway, they put that as the example, but that's not real life. That is a completely a life that none of us will be living. That is a small group of people that keep within themselves, and they probably have some type of arrangement that no regular normal person or even a millionaire would understand how they run those lives. So again, if this woman earns $500,000 and she's not willing to even entertain somebody that's earning less, that's great. Go ahead. That is your life. But then again, I love how you twisted it to see if, does that apply to a man that's a billionaire wanting to date somebody that's earning less than $70,000? Again, it's about perspective. What we're seeing in social media, I think they're trying to sell division again, and they're trying to sell things that are really unrealistic. And unfortunately, the younger women take that as reality, and that's not reality. And the fact that you're thinking about the monetary results that you're going to get once you get married, it has nothing. Once you get into the marriage, it's about two people that come from different, places, coming together, accepting each other for what they do, and always looking at the character of the man. What is that man going to offer you once you're in your 60s, 70s? Does that man has the character to stay with you in the good, the bad, the even neutral environment? Because marriage sometimes gets very uneventful. Ask Maggie. She's always asking me, how was your weekend? It wasn't eventful. We cleaned the house. He was in the backyard. The dogs are here. If I had children, I would probably talk about their soccer games. Unfortunately, I don't have children, and that's one thing that is my regret of life, that I was not blessed with children. But that's a different thing. But marriage is about being with that person in the most mundane times of your life and being okay with that.
So true. We're going to go back to the video, but I'm just really thinking about this and honestly how ridiculous this is. So we have this woman, and I don't know this woman. I don't know anything about her. We are just reacting to this. She says she makes $500,000 a year. I don't know why these people on the panel are trying to convince her to consider a man that makes $70,000 a year. It's useless. She's not going to do it. You're not going to change her mind. I learned that too. Let people do what they do. But it's just so funny to me. Men that are in that type of arena, you would never catch them on a podcast arguing with people about who they date or not. I'm telling you, ladies, the men that are in this arena move in silence. Again, this is another difference between men and women. You know, my man tells me all the time, Mr. President says, you know, we women, we've taken this opportunity that we have to go get these big jobs and these big six-figure jobs and big degrees, and that's fine. But it's almost like new money to us. We can't wait to tell everybody what we've accomplished. We can't wait to brag to everybody what we've done. You heard her in the beginning. I've done this and I've done that and I've done this and I've done that. We're waving our flag for everybody to respect us. Men don't move that way. If you wonder why the men that are in the 500,000, 1 million, 1.5 million, whatever it is, you don't see them, it's because they see you and they know exactly what they want and they know exactly what they don't want. And they're not going to argue back and forth with people. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. So I'm just looking at this thinking, what man do I know would sit here on a panel trying to explain his dating choices to a woman? So ladies, we just have to really look at our behavior and look at how other people will interpret what we do. Because like I'm always telling you, ladies, men don't just look at the right now. So she's on a panel arguing and defending who she's going to date and who she's not. Fine. Nobody cares. But men look at what we do and they apply that to every other aspect of life. They apply that to the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Lucy talked about life in marriage being routine, sometimes being mundane. Some modern women may say it's boring. Believe me, when you get our age, you will crave that consistency. Someone like me, I am a jumping jelly bean. I know that about myself. My man, real steady, real consistent. I think that's what we need as women. I'll speak for myself. But when you, like my man says, when you go get that breadwinner job, be ready to be the breadwinner in every aspect. So when there's a problem to solve, it's on you. When something breaks, you're fixing it. When there's a decision to be made, you're on it. If you think you're going to find your equal in that area, and y'all are going to be some fictitious power couple, that is not what these men want. Believe me, they will find an average looking or moderately attractive woman who knows how to be a support system to him and let him shine and fall back and enjoy all of the perks that come with that while you're sitting on a panel defending all of your accomplishments to people that, in your opinion, are beneath you. So I just wanted to say that. We'll go back in, see what else they have to say.
So this is the second part of the conversation. Let's get into it.
The conversations that we have, and women are literally saying, I make $300,000 a year. If he makes $100K, he's not viable.
But wait, Doc, this is what I'm saying. I'm saying it's about leadership. It's about leadership. So for me,
but money doesn't equate to leadership at all.
This is what I'm saying. I'm saying if you are going to lead me in the ways, that means you need to have the mindset. That means you need to have the mentality, the emotions, the spirit, the energy. If you're going to lead this household, I don't want to have to slow down to let you pass me up.
The average woman doesn't make that much money.
That's true.
Right? The actual listener is making 50, 70, maybe 80. Right. So what happens to the man that...
The average listener is making around 50. They're not making 70, and they're definitely not making 80, just to be clear.
Is he now completely disqualified? Because we've completely changed the conversation. We said average. Now we're talking about men that make $300,000 a year. We can't even keep the conversation to the same topic of the average man. He's still being bypassed in the conversation. So if he's being bypassed in the conversation where we can't even stay on topic and talk about the man, imagine the women that's listening to the conversation, their mind is still going to the $300,000 man.
Can I just
real quick, I peeped the ring. I know.
I peeped the ring too. It stood out to me. I have some other thoughts, but Lucy, what would you add to what was said in this second portion?
It's just, we're allowing women to get away with a fantasy. We are allowing women, just because they talk and they open up a podcast and can say the craziest things and ideas, without allowing those to bring them into reality. Because, if you bring them into reality, they're going to call you everything else, because they got to be right. The need to be right, it's still there. So again, the only wise one in that group is the married woman. And she just told them, we're getting off topic, talking about $300,000 amounts or salaries or money that they make, when in reality, who watches our show is women that earn 50 the most or even less. So we are comparing apples to onions at this point, because there's no comparison at this point.
I love that. I wanted to pause on that for just a moment, you all. And I see this is happening. Social media can be a great tool. Lucy and I use social media to connect with you all. But I really think that opening the world to everybody, it has given us a false sense of who we are and who we really have access to. I know y'all are on these dating apps. I'm old school. Met my ex-husband at work, met my man at school. That's just the way it was. You had access to people in your proximity. I know now, the world has gotten a lot smaller. But my concern, and what the married woman in her wisdom was trying to say, that's not most people. Yes, we have women who make 100,000. Yes, there are men and women that make 300,000. But most of us, the overwhelming majority of people, are average earners. And there's nothing wrong with being average. Some of us are a little bit above, some of us are a little bit below. But I think, again, talking to this woman who, is so high and mighty with her accomplishments, that's great. Let her go have that debate in her arena with her people. My fear, especially with younger women, is that we are allowing celebrities or these one-offs, unicorns, if it's really true, because I'm thinking, someone who makes that much money, I don't know, maybe they paid her to be on this podcast, but we are allowing people who we cannot relate to their lives say things that impact our decision making in the real world. And that is the concern that I have. So ladies, I would always say, consider the source. Before you take advice from someone, even myself, before you listen to anybody, look at their life and ask yourself, can I trade places with them? Would I trade places with them? I'm a hands-on mom, but that would be like me looking at someone who has multiple nannies. I could never relate. I got to get a meal on the table in 30 minutes. I don't have a chef and a driver and a gardener and all that. That's great for them. But it would be foolish of me to think that I can emulate that and then pass up on a good man who can't give me all this hired help, because in my mind, I deserve all of these things. No, I don't come from royalty. I come from an immigrant family, come from nothing, made a nice life. That's fine. So you need to pair up. I need to pair up with someone who can relate to me and I can relate to him. Also built ourselves up from nothing, and then we enjoy together. So just be very careful, ladies, looking at these celebrities. Just because everyone has a channel, just because everyone has a platform, just because everyone has an opinion, does not mean that it can apply to you. And be very careful taking advice from someone who doesn't live your life, who doesn't have your experiences, who has no idea what your world is. Let them do what they do over there and make choices that will be beneficial for you. All right, let's go back in.
Wife, when I see one, they all kind of sound the same. She's serving coffee. Now, I could be wrong here. but I'm probably not. So shout out to this lovely lady.
Still going to the $300,000 man.
Can I just say one more thing? Even if you are that 50, 60, 70,000 earning man, there is still a desire for you at some point to make enough to where your wife doesn't have to work.
Yes. Are people not able to make a living and provide a beautiful life with $50,000? That's crazy. That is exactly what he said. That's what he said. That's exactly what he said. And to allude to a person, if a person makes under a certain amount of money, to say that they don't have the ability to lead, provide, and have all of these things. That's exactly what y'all are saying. Y'all are going around about a way to say it, but that's how people are perceiving the things that y'all say.
There's a component of this that we are missing, and that is that men that are...
Notice how the chicks who are waiting for their millionaires magically have no rings on their fingers.
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
It's like poof, they just bare hands. I'm just saying.
Not happy with where they are financially are mean. They treat you terribly, okay? If you meet somebody and they're a 300K woman, that may not be quite the lane for you. It doesn't mean that I value you less. It doesn't mean, but you're going to perform better. You're going to be a better person. You're going to have a better mindset. You're going to be in a clearer space when you feel valued, safe, at peace with where you are. And it's no harm, no foul in that. Stay there in that lane with the women that are in alignment with you. And don't be mad at us calling us broke, gold diggers, dirty, bald head scallywags on the internet, because we are in this lane. It would be wonderful to meet a man and he's like, babe, let's do this together. Let's build. I got this, you got that. You got my back, I got your back. But the reality of it is because I went to school, I was valedictorian, I graduated, I got a master's degree, I did all this. Now you mad at me because you're not in my lane. Get in your lane, make some more money, and then come over here.
I'm going to piss a lot of people off when I say this.
Oh my goodness. Hopefully, ladies, those of you all that are watching, and I know I'm making fun, but I was doing that intentionally. Do you notice how quickly these boss babe women go from 0 to 10? Have you noticed how quickly they get offended and feel like now you got to sit here and listen to all of my accomplishments? I went to private school. I make this amount of money. I've been here. I've done that. Fine, ladies. Again, the teachable moment for me is women. The men that we want are watching how we behave in all circumstances. Men are going to test us, as they should, because they have a lot to lose by connecting themselves with us for life. So if you can't even have a conversation and disagree without being triggered, that's a problem, because the man is thinking, okay, what happens when there's a real issue, a health issue, a financial issue, a family issue? Are you going to be able to keep the peace, be the heart of the home, make a warm and welcoming space for him so that he can fight those battles? And you're like, babe, I got it. You take care of this. Don't worry about anything at home. Because if you think that all of your accomplishments are going to help your relationship, you're wrong. They may help you, but hopefully, ladies, if you're watching this live or the replay, you can see the men in the chat and men in general, they don't care about that. And I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I have a lot of accomplishments on paper too, but that doesn't help you in relationship. So if relationship is what you want, focusing on accomplishment is not going to get you that outcome. You're just going to sound like someone very masculine, someone very bragging, but the man the whole time is thinking, okay, what is that to me? How is that going to be useful to me? So, she's saying, stay in your lane, stay down there. And I'll just say this, ladies. I know a lot of professional women or boss babe women think it's an insult to men when you're telling them you don't make enough, you're not tall enough, you're not this enough, you're corny, you're dusty, all that stuff, fine. What you don't know about men, and I know this being a boy mom, I am not a man. I would never speak to men about their life experience, but it's not anything new. Men have been getting kicked in the teeth and told from the time they were small, get it together. You're not strong enough. You're not fast enough. You don't look good. You have this problem. You have that issue. So men are used to it. You're not telling them anything new. So they take that feedback, and if they want to, they will improve, or they will find a woman who does think the world of them. And yes, you may have won the battle by getting somebody told, great, but you're still alone and you have lost the war. So ultimately, you have to make decisions about what you really want. If what you really want is just to be loud and be heard and have everybody think, okay, wow, she's a force to reckon with, that's fine. You will have your moment in the sun, and then life will go on and you will figure it out by yourself. What would you add, Lucy?
I agree. And it's just, to me, as a woman looking at another woman, bringing up all her accomplishments, it completely turns me off, because really, what does that have anything to do with the conversation that we're having right now? And I can just imagine men, as practical as they are, once a woman starts bringing up all those qualifiers, disqualifiers, my husband is right there. I know he was doing some, so I don't know, hand signals to get back here. Once you bring in all those qualifiers before you give an actual answer, to me, for men, it's like, oh yeah, she's one of those. I'll let her talk, let them speak, and then they walk away, because that's what's happening right now. Men are walking away from that nonsense. And if you've noticed in China, in all of these Asian cultures, the men and the women are at an impasse. They're not getting together. The women now are even asking the men to marry them, and the men now have leverage. Now they're saying, well, what happened to you 10 years ago when I was pursuing you? Now when you're at that point, you're coming back to me? No, that's not going to happen. And unfortunately, that mentality is coming to the United States if women do not start realizing the positive side of having men on your side.
All right, let's go back in and see what he has to say.
But it's this type of mindset in modern women of prioritizing money before character, before God, before anything else, that had Diddy having his way. Drink the coffee. It'll make you feel better. Drink the coffee. It'll make you feel better. As always, we're going to check out some of these comments here, what the people had to say. Top comment here says, we got to stop listening to people who ain't married. Right. Somebody else here says, the lady with the short hair lives in reality. Another person says, protect the woman in the gray shirt at all costs. Somebody else here says, yet all this talk, but not one mention loving each other and respect. All I want to know is, where are all these black women who make $300K? Somebody else who says, so rich men don't treat women bad? Do you guys think that this type of mentality, like when a juror, just a random, probably crazy thought, but I'm going to entertain it anyways. When a jury gets on a stand and they see a billionaire and he was just having his way with the women he was with, and they were like, oh yes, I wanted to do it, but then I found out he's a monster. And they're thinking, you could have dated so many other people. Why did you pick this? Do you guys ever think that a jury that understands how a certain type of woman moves in general and what vulnerabilities that type of a mindset can open her up to, do you think they sit down and go, you probably thought it was all peaches and cream. You thought you'd hit the jackpot. Do you think that goes into the mindset? I'm always curious to know what you think.
All right. So we made it through it. A lot of opinions on this one, but ladies, again, for me, the takeaway is sit down with yourself and ask yourself what you really want. That woman said in the beginning, I want it all. And I'm single because I want it all. I'd rather be single because I want it all. Nobody gets everything that they want. And I'm always speaking for the men that I have access to remind women that if you think the men that you want get everything that they want, you are wrong. Men know when they come into relationship with us, they are going to give up a lot. They are going to sacrifice a lot, up to the ultimate sacrifice. They have to be willing to lay down their life. If there's an enemy at the gate, they send their wife and the children out to the back to safety and they fight to the death. And I know we talk about this and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, will that ever happen? But men are signing up for that. in marriage and relationships. So they don't take it lightly at all. This fantasy that we have that we're going to be some, yuppie power couple and everything's going to be great. Mr. President told me, we women move through life like nothing can go wrong. Men move through life like everything could go wrong. So if you think about that, just the pressure that puts on you every moment, knowing that in just a moment, everything can go from calm to chaos. Am I ready for that? Do I have a plan for that? Am I ready to fight to the death or protect my family or do whatever I need to do? Work 2 jobs or go without food or whatever it is. So again, this is why men are very selective in choosing a woman that is going to respect them and get on their program. So, for me, it's not about the $70,000. I think in America, we are so privileged and so arrogant to think that $70,000 is something to sneeze at. Again, she has a right to her own opinions, but it is not far-fetched. We can only look a couple generations in the future, and America and the women that men choose are starting to look very different for a reason, because that $70,000 goes a long way for a woman who has traditional values. And so if you have decided to hitch your wagon to corporate, career, boss babe, college, all of that, just make sure you have a plan to carry that out until you're 65. I don't wish anybody to be single forever, but ladies, that pool of men that you're going to have access to is, again, infinitely small. And I would just ask yourself, since she has access to these men, what kind of women do they marry? Not entertain, not take out for a night, not have on rotation. What kind of women do they marry? Are they modest? Are they calm? Are they nurturing? Are they soothing? Are they supportive? Or are they in your face about everything they've done and what schools they went to and what jobs they have and taught and shouting over you and making sure everybody knows, doggone it, I'm in the room? Ask yourself, and then ask yourself, why am I still single? What would you add, Lucy?
Excellent point. And another thing, I think you said it the last time, would you marry yourself? Ladies, with the behavior and the personality that you have right now, do you think that if you turned it around and you were a man that was courting you, would you marry yourself with that behavior and that personality that you have? So again, I feel terrible because there are women that will be single, until their all golden days. And unfortunately, it's going to take them getting to that point to say, wow, I missed out on, that guy that was here, that was there for me, but he wasn't earning $300,000 because, I thought I was out earning him. So again, in this country, we are very spoiled. We are looking at relationship as transactional, only money and only the things that you can do for me. But I think it's time to start thinking differently, change your perspective. I always put the zombie apocalypse as an example. If the world were to be coming to an end, do you have that man that will be protecting you? Once the zombies are crossing your fence or coming to you, or are you going to have to fend for yourself? And unfortunately, I think it's going to be the men coming to our rescue. Again, they are our protectors. They have that DNA in them. And unfortunately, the modern world is forcing them to stay back and, watch you do what you want to do. And they will go a different way to find a woman that will have that femininity, that loving, that tenderness in there for the world.
Well, this is a good one. Thank you all so much for all of the commentary. And again, thank you so much, Jules, for the support. I know this video was a little animated, but my heart again is to snap some ladies back into reality. Let's get our heads out of the clouds. Life is difficult. We are better together. Make sure that if you want relationship, that you are useful to the man that you want, or he'll just choose somebody else. If you don't know where to begin, we are 1 week away from our next private class. Lucy and I will be teaching next Saturday, relationship basics. This class is going to be taught privately on Zoom. You can go to teachablemomentswithmaggie.com. It's 2 sessions. We're going to really break down what men are looking for. We run the curriculum by the men that we admire and respect, and they tell us what modern women need to know if you want any success in a relationship. Because I agree, like Lucy, and I don't get any joy saying this, it will get better, but sadly, I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. I think there are going to be a lot of women with regret. Some of them may speak out, some of them may not. But if you want to understand what men are looking for, if you want an accurate representation of what you have that's valuable in a relationship, I would encourage you all to take the class. You'll have lifetime access to the materials, or, you can do your own thing. That's totally fine. Thank you all so much. We will be back. Oh, yes. Brandon Eljet, one of our founding fathers of the finishing school is here. He says, I fully support and endorse Maggie Lou's new class. And speaking of new class, something else is brewing. I have it on my heart to create a new course called Protect Your Relationship. More will be coming about that in the fall. But ladies, if you have a man, just know that not everybody wants you to win, but there is a way to protect your man's interest in your relationship in a feminine way. And so a new course will be coming after we teach relationship basics. So Lucy and I are with you all once a week. We will be here next Saturday at the same time. So again, go to teachablemomentswithmaggie.com if you all are interested in any of our courses. They're all available on demand. What would you say to close us out, Lucy?
Looking forward to that new curriculum. Protect your relationship it's something that in the modern world we need to really look at, because not everybody wants people to succeed. And when you're in a successful relationship, successful marriage, there's always, sharks going around and to see if there's any kind of one drop of blood somewhere where they can go and, and pounce on you. So again, I think I'm looking forward to this new class. And I think BLJ said, let's talk about that class offline, ladies. I have a lot of good ideas. Yes, perfect. That would be great.
I will be calling you very soon. Yes, I definitely want to hear your thoughts. All right, everybody. Thank you again. Replay will be up, and we will see you all next week for another reaction. So until then, we will say adios.